ever made your own yogurt?
I haven't. No, have you?
Yes.
How
Oh
did
my
you
God,
know?
now I can teach a nutritionist or a
Ooh.
dietitian how to make their own yogurt. This is my time to shine, baby.
Oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Cook for Show. This is your boy Show. And today I have a special and a lovely guest, Melissa. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for inviting
I
me.
really appreciate you coming in because we're gonna not only cook a very delicious ingredient, but on top of that, we're also gonna learn so much about nutrition. And you know, nowadays with the social media, with people being aware and conscious of their weight, you need a perfect expert to kind of give us some of the advice and the teaching that we need, right? So that's where she comes in. Now, my first question for you is, we're gonna go over the ingredients. What's the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist?
Great question. So a nutritionist, actually there's really no certifications needed to be called a nutritionist. Anyone can call themselves a nutritionist, right?
Mm-hmm.
The personal trainer at the gym, they're a nutritionist. You could call yourself a nutritionist.
I am a nutritionist.
A dietitian, on the other hand, has to go through multiple schooling, get an internship, and get licensed. So there's laws regarding their profession. So a little bit higher regard, they can write meal plans. So very different.
But either way, we are all here to help with because their end goal is to try to promote the right ingredients, the right type of food. So what are we cooking? Let's get to the ingredients. What are we going over?
Well, let's go over the main ingredient, the salmon. We got some Atlantic salmon fillets, great dose of omega-3 fatty acids. So this is going to be like the star of our meal today. We're also pairing it with like a yogurt dill dressing. Greek yogurt is actually very high in protein. Then we're pairing it with like roasted carrots and roasted potatoes. So we got our carbohydrates coming in. We're using a little bit of olive oil for healthy fats. So this is going to be like your perfect balanced meal that we're making.
Wow. I like how you have like a description behind each thing that you mentioned. I can't do that. I'm like, these are carrots. We got some yogurt that says 0% calories. What does it stand for?
0% fat. You don't know how to pronounce.
Regarding fish, you say we have to have it at least 2 to 3 times a week, but it's not necessarily ideal for a lot of people, since it's also expensive considering the price, and also its availability. Like, is there a substitute to fish?
I would say yes, like you could do a fish oil supplement to get your omega-3s in. There's also plant-based sources, so you could do it from walnuts, you could do flax seeds. Those are probably the other top 2 I would do. A little bit probably more cost-effective, because I know salmon can get pretty pricey.
Right.
Or just take like an omega-3 fish oil supplement. You could do that as well. If you're kind of getting salmon, say like only like once a month, or just not getting it very often.
Okay, that's good to know. I have questions regarding the potatoes. I'm just going over the ingredients right now. Potatoes, red potatoes, there's white potatoes, there's all types of potatoes, potatoes. What do you recommend? Which one is good? Which one is not good?
Honestly, you don't have to be picky with potatoes at all. Like, all of them are gonna have nutrition, vitamins, minerals in them. Some people say like, oh no, white potatoes are gonna make you fat, they're bad for you, but that's not true. It's the things we put on potatoes. Think of things like sour cream, bacon, butter. If you just have like plain potatoes, you're gonna get a lot of potassium in there, magnesium, you're gonna get fiber. So no matter what kind you like, honestly, you can't go wrong there.
The only issue I have with potatoes, because potatoes turn into fries, right? So, I love fries. So I have a lot of intake of potatoes when it comes to fries. And it adds up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not talking about McDonald's fries. Sometimes I boil or fry my own potatoes. Not potatoes, I chop it up to make it fries. And when you add a little bit of salt and then black pepper, this is just like, I'm giving out all my magic secret ingredients here. When you mix it up and a little bit of cayenne pepper, that's the best fry you could ever have.
And you can eat, like, you can have a large amount, like a bag of potato chips.
That's what I'm saying. Alright, let's do this.
Alright.
So she's starting out with the, what's it called? The spice right? No, what is it
Marinade. This will be the marinade for like
Aspect of the cooking, right?
the carrots and the potatoes.
called? Okay. I'll be chopping up the carrots along with the potatoes. Or no, we don't need to cut the potatoes.
Yep, they're already done.
It's already
Simple,
done.
guys.
We just have to wash them. And then she's gonna make the sauce for that, and then we're gonna mix them up. Easy, right?
Easy peasy. Healthy cooking does not have to be complicated at
That's
all.
it. But that's what it takes, right? Like, I feel like nowadays people, because they have this perception that cooking is hard, they don't do it so much at work, so they rely on an outside food, and as a result of that, or as a consequence of that, what happens is they consume a lot of food from outside, and those foods have a lot of fat, because they don't give a fuck what they're gonna include inside the thing, right?
Yeah, it tastes
So,
good.
It tastes good. So if you're gonna do that almost once or twice a day, that's how you add up fat, and that's how you add up bad carbs, right?
Add up the calories and everything. And people think healthy cooking is expensive, it's complicated. This meal, guys, is only gonna take like 30 to 40 minutes to make.
That's it.
Super easy.
Now the question is, how do you get an unmotivated person to get motivated by their nutrition and get in shape?
That is a good question. And it's gonna depend, I think, like on every single person. And that motivation is like, you know, what are your goals? Usually people who want to eat healthy, it's like you want to feel better energy, right?
Right.
Other people could be looks. You want to like look good. I don't know. But I think the basis like nutrition, like you only get one body. You guys don't get a second chance. You don't get another body. So treat the one that you have. Like, you know, treat it well. Like,
That's very
treat it
true.
right.
And like a lot of people, like it's a good point. You only have one body, and it's like treating a car. That's how I see it, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't take care of your car, even if it's a brand new car, you know, if you don't put the right oil every amount of months or years, whatever, if you don't change parts, tires, that shit is gonna go down the wrong path. You know, it's gonna crash on you.
If you eat, junk all day, you're not gonna run the best.
Right.
You put in good stuff like this, yes, it may take a little bit more effort, but you're gonna feel 10 times better. And it's hard, like in the society now, where like you can go down the street to McDonald's and you can get a chicken sandwich.
I mean, I do that myself, but
Right? It's easy.
it's so easy. But you can do it, you just have to do it in moderation, right?
Exactly. I'm not gonna say don't ever eat McDonald's. It's not like that. I'm not being like unrealistic.
Right.
But
Just-
just some vegetables.
Just eat McDonald's, try to eat McDonald's maybe 3-4 times a week, but then have one of these and it balances things out,
There you go. That's a start. It's a good start.
I'm joking. I'm saying the opposite. But what I'm saying is, or I'm trying to say, is that you can have healthy meals 3 or 4 times a week, and then if you end up being in a fast food restaurant or eating something unhealthy, then kind of is a fair deal, right?
Yeah, like I would say you want to go on like a Saturday and go get McDonald's. You're going out like a date night on Friday. I'd say go for it. As long as like, maybe 80% of your diet is coming from like fruits, vegetables, good sources of protein. Doesn't have to be complicated, but I don't want to sound cliche, but it's like that balancing approach, right?
Absolutely.
Easier said than done.
No, I know. Exactly. It's easy for us to say it, but when you're sitting on that couch watching TV and you have a potato chip bag in your hand, it's not easy. You just want to or when you just open a ice cream, you just want to finish it. It's tough.
Once you open up that Ben and Jerry's, you just want to like get to the bottom. It's like
That's what I'm saying.
It's a challenge to get to it.
It's like whenever I finish ice cream, the whole thing, Ben and Jerry's, the whole can, is when I don't have a meal. It's like, fuck, this is my meal. I'm just gonna finish it. When you don't have something to look forward to, like when you don't have anything cooked for yourself, then you're gonna end up finishing that fucking ice cream because that's what happens.
It's true. You gotta be prepared.
That's
Things
what it
like
is.
this, and yes, like it does take time, but you get into that habit, and it gets easier and easier to do.
Good point. On that note, now we have chopped up the carrots.
Now we can put them on
the
a
dill.
baking sheet and we'll mix them in all together.
And we're gonna put it in the oven.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the oven?
We are ready for the oven.
Let's do it. And then now we are ready to put this in the oven, which we preheated to 400 degrees, right?
Yep.
So we want our potatoes and carrots to be cooked. And then while that's being cooked, we're gonna prepare our salmon.
Alright.
So this is the salmon component of it. We're gonna add the salmon and we're gonna add some spices to it, right? Which includes the Dijon mustard.
Yep, so we're just gonna do a little bit of Dijon mustard, a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and that is really it. We already have the marinade for the vegetables, and then we'll have the yogurt dressing on top.
Easy. This is such an easy recipe. Alright, so I just washed the salmon. I don't know if that's something people do, but the juice was so gross, I had to do it. Now we're gonna add the seasoning, and before we do it, I have some questions because, you know, I have to take advantage of the fact that I have a nutritionist or dietitian next to me. This has a lot of protein, right?
Yes.
And I work out. I know a lot of friends that work out. And their number one question is, what do you do to keep up with your protein intake? And yeah, you can consume a lot of protein powder or protein shakes. But when it comes to meat, do you really need a lot of protein, or is it just also a myth?
Yeah, I would say it's a myth. It depends on everyone's personal needs, but most Americans get too much protein. I think it's just like the standard American diet. You know, you're having a lot of ground beef, you're having fish, chicken, whey protein. Most people over consuming that. Now it depends, like per person. Like I will, like on the high end, for every pound you weigh, I'll say maybe like 0.8 to 1 gram of protein. That's usually my standards, but it's going to be different per person versus someone who doesn't work out. They may only need just a little bit versus someone say like you, if you work out, maybe you're going to need per pound you weigh a gram of protein.
So I weigh about 180, 182 on a good day. Do I need that many grams?
I would say it depends on your goal. Like I would say you don't need 180 grams of protein. Like you would probably be fine, maybe around like 150 grams. It'd be like a good amount.
I see. And then with that, you would still be able to sustain good amount of muscle or muscle, you know, intake to sustain your muscle recovery, whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
You also look at other macronutrients, you know, where's your carbs at, where your fats are. People usually neglect that and just go super protein heavy, and they cancel out the carbs. Both of them are usually pretty important, especially for athletes or especially like strength training, bodybuilders, and so.
Now, I know we touched a little bit on the carbs and the protein. What about fat?
Fat. So fat's another crucial component. It's great for hormonal health, skin health. You're going to get a lot of fat-soluble vitamins as well. So salmon is also rich in omega-3 fatty acids. You don't need to do a low-fat diet. You're going to be missing out on so much nutrition. So fat is also very satisfying too. When you add fat to a meal, it actually can make you feel a little bit fuller longer. If it's just a protein and a carb meal, usually you can just kind of burn through it really quickly. So this adds like another satiating type of combo.
So it's not like when you consume fat, it's just like fat.
No, yeah.
Belly fat.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's just a total myth. If someone tells you that, just run away. Run in the opposite direction.
And also, this is something I know from, you know, biology, is that fat is a good source of helping your immune system. Is that true?
Yeah, a lot of like where you get your fats too. Like if you get it from fatty fish, you're gonna get it from nuts and seeds, avocados, avocado oil. A lot of them are anti-inflammatory, so it does help your immune system. So you want to consume more of those fats, not like your saturated fats.
And give them an example of saturated fat. There's like polysaturated, saturated, monosaturated. I don't know. There's more saturated. Like, Can you give us an example?
Yeah, so think of like in a bag of potato chips, like the oil that they use in there can contain a lot of saturated fat. Think about going to like a burger joint and you're getting a really juicy burger.
Oh, I love that fat.
Exactly. So like little like cow meat or even animal protein has a lot of saturated fat in there. Usually that's what makes it taste good, but you want to try to limit it as you know, if you
much as
can.
possible,
Yeah.
And then there's fat that stays in your system longer. As far as like this is becomes a more of a complication in the long term. It's like I think it's polysaturated.
I think maybe it's like trans fat.
Trans fat. That's what it is.
Trans
Yes.
fat. Yeah.
You know that increases your cholesterol level and you know leads to a lot of other bad things like heart attack and all kinds of shit. So you want to limit that, and yes, just because you're young, it doesn't mean that you have to consume a lot of those. Because believe it or not, your body holds on to those. And yes, it will affect you later in life.
Mm-hmm.
It clogs up your arteries, right?
Yep. What you're doing, I would say now, like if you keep continuing with these bad habits, you know, you're all fine and good when you're in your 20s, early 30s. It all catches up like when you're 50 and 60, and now all of a sudden you're seeing your doctor for all these like heart conditions, high cholesterol, diabetes. So do it while you can now. Build those habits.
That's it. The fish is like, what the fuck is happening? It's cooking. Okay, so we're gonna mix.
So actually, you're just gonna drizzle some olive oil on there.
Okay. Can I do more of the avocado?
You can do that one,
Yeah.
or you can use just
olive oil.
Yeah,
I have
I would
olive
use just
oil.
like a little bit of regular olive oil in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're just gonna do like a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's it. Like keep it
Simple.
super simple. It can be pepper.
You gotta do like this. So, what have you done so far? Give me a quick recap.
So we have already done the potatoes, the carrots are in the oven, and then we got the salmon prepped and ready to go. That's cooking. So now we just gotta make the finishing yogurt dill dressing. Super easy though.
This is the easy part, you know. And so far, everything has been easy.
Yep.
Seriously. All right. We need a spoon to begin this process.
You just use
She has a fork.
same thing, guys. We're using minimal ingredients today.
That's it. You know, we like to keep it simple. Because honestly, it's not as much as we are focused on the ingredient. We are more about delivering a message.
Mhm.
You're not, because you don't get to talk to a nutritionist every day, you know. So speaking of that, I think I have a few other questions. Do you have like a diet journal diary or something for? Is that something like, you know how people track their calorie intake?
Yes.
Is that something you recommend?
Now again, it depends on the client, but my philosophy is think about someone who wants to get better at their budgeting, like maybe their accounting information. Would you just tell them to like intuitively like don't spend money? No, you would probably tell them like, hey, track your spending for a week, see what's coming in and out of your bank account. It's the same way with like nutrition. Like you don't know how many calories you're eating, how can you intuitively eat or actually see progress? So I do recommend like even like a tracking app, like MyFitnessPal is great. You can keep a food journal, but it gives you more mindfulness, awareness of what you're eating,
Right.
and it gives numbers. Yeah, like I think it's important to know how many calories you're getting in a day.
I see. And I know I'm gonna go on tangent here with this question. What exactly is keto diet?
Oh, a ketogenic. So that one's all the rage. So really it's a very low carb diet centered around like probably your diet's gonna be around like 65% plus fat intake. People sometimes go like up to like 70% of your macros are coming from fat. Then the rest is like a little bit of protein, and usually it's under 10% carbohydrates usually.
I see.
So usually your carbs are only coming from vegetables. It's some people works great for. I don't know if you've ever personally tried it.
The keto diet? I didn't know what it was, but I know it involves like a consumption of a lot of fat.
Yeah.
Fatty content, right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily bad fat.
No, like there's a good way and a bad way I would say to do keto. Is of course if you're gonna have like tons of saturated fat, it's probably not the best for you. But there's a healthy way to do keto. If you're doing like whole eggs, avocados, nuts, seeds, grass-fed butter, ghee, some of those, like it's a good way to do it. I think where people go in is like they forget how good carbohydrates are. And they can get like a little bit too restricted on it. So I'm not a big hater on keto. Works for some people, but honestly.
So let's get back to the recipe. We mixed the 0% fat yogurt along with a little bit of olive oil or syrup.
Syrup, Dijon, and our dill. So 4 ingredients. That's all we really need.
That's it. Very simple. And at the same time, we're waiting for our potatoes and the carrots along with our salmon, which are being baked in the oven, right?
Yep.
And how long was it being cooked for?
So usually it can take around like 20 to 40 minutes. So salmon only takes about 15 minutes. Potatoes are gonna take like 30 to 40. So it's almost done. I think we got like 10 minutes.
It better be sooner because I'm
I know.
hungry.
So we just got everything out of the oven. So we got our salmon fillets with the yogurt dill dressing. And then we got our roasted potatoes, carrots with the Dijon and maple glaze on top.
This part is the easy part because I can do this. You know, I can dive in and give you reviews because that's what I do. Food reviews, baby. Let's test this beautiful food, right? So we're gonna take a little bit of salmon and we topped it with what? Some glazed.
A yogurt dill dressing.
It's so juicy.
I'd say it's pretty good.
I think the dressing actually makes it more like it brings out the flavor. It's really, I didn't know because how long was it in the oven?
It was like 15 minutes.
Just 15 minutes, and the salmon is so juicy, like it's so good. And just add like mix it with a little bit of potatoes.
This only took like what, 6, 7 ingredients?
That's it. That's it. You know, we talked a lot. I think we talked more than time it actually got the cooking time, but freaking delicious. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you coming and giving us a lot of very useful information about diet. If you can consume something like this 3 or 4 times a week, that's what I learned during this whole process. You'll be good. You'll be in good shape because you will have your fish, you will have your protein, and you will have your limited carbs that you need throughout the week. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming. And until next time, this is your boy, Cook for Shell. I like it, you said.